100th day unleashing my superpowers. 40 women across the globe sharing their stories about how they navigated the male-dominated work environment to achieve. When women don't support each other, we all fail. But when women support each other, we all succeed. Studies have shown. Do you support another sister? Do you mentor another sister? Do you just help the younger women to succeed? Many of you may be wondering, what does PhD mean? For some people, it's pull her down. It means I just want to stay at the top, and me, I and myself. But today I have a phenomenal woman who is going to share with you how as women we need to support each other, but we also need to nurture the younger women to succeed. Whether it's in mentoring, whether it's in coaching, whether it's in sponsorship. I have the pleasure to introduce to you an academic, Professor Barbara. Barbara, she has a science degree from the University of Sydney. She also has a PhD in chemistry. She spent many years as a researcher, and she became head of chemistry at the University of New South Wales. She stayed there for so many years. She then became an executive dean of Faculty of Science and Engineering at Macquarie University in Australia. She was then the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Sydney from 2019 to 2020. Her last role was visiting professor at the University of New South Wales. She has authored over 128 peer-reviewed papers and has supervised, or actually co-supervised, over 25 PhD students to completion. Professor Barbara is an amazing woman. You're going to be so inspired by what she has to share as a woman in STEM. I invite you to please watch her video. Thank you. I would like to know what you believe are the top 3 or even more barriers to career advancement, especially for women in STEM. I mean, based on your experience, I mean, you're a professor in chemistry, you have, risen through the ranks, and you studied chemistry, and now you teach chemistry. What has been some of those barriers that you can think of?
So I think what's very real is the unconscious and conscious bias. And I've very much always worked on the principle that if you are very good at what you do, you will succeed. And I believe that very strongly, and I think that is the case. So any woman who's really good at what they do, is self-aware and works hard, will get where they want to. Yeah. I do think that, but I also do think that there is more unconscious bias than we are aware of, because it's unconscious, of course. But I do also think there is a higher level of conscious bias than I ever acknowledge in my own career. I always say, no, it's all good. I will get on with it. It's a woman's life, in that they very often have children. Yeah. And I think that's a really important thing for them and their partners and their families, that they can do that and enjoy that and make their way. And that tends to, I don't actually think many workplaces are biased against women when they have families. In fact, I think there's a lot of good work that's been done in encouraging women in the workplace. But I think women take themselves out because of it. So they don't have the confidence that they can keep going and that they will be supported. Now, it could be some workplaces don't support them, so they see that coming and they move out. But I do think there's maybe a bit of oversensitivity to that. And so people hear a lot about how it's difficult for women. So they go, okay, if it's going to be difficult for me, I'm getting out. So I think we need to think a bit harder about how we help young women who want to have a career-life balance, and help them in saying, actually, the workplace will support you, and don't see it as a negative. The one place where I think the workplace really struggles, and I don't think it's in academia anyway, and I'm sure it's the same in business.
Yeah.
When they're appointing people to roles, they have to appoint the people who have the best background for the role.
Yeah.
And if a woman has taken time out, that time is gone, and there's nothing you can do about that. And so if these workplaces hold these two people up against each other, you need to have positive discrimination, maybe. You need to have people much more aware. And so I do think we need to be training workplaces to understand that better. And I do think that's happening slowly but surely.
Do you have a coach or a mentor or a sponsor in your career? Did you have people like that?
Multiple.
All right.
So yes, so I've had a few coaches. As a manager, a senior manager in universities, they very often give you the possibility to have coaches. So management coaches. I also attended the Academic Women in Leadership program at the University of New South Wales, which was enormously helpful in teaching me about management, leadership, and so on. So I've had some fantastic support from that point of view. I've also had some amazing mentors. So the DVC academic at the University of New South Wales, for example, Deputy Vice-Chancellor academic, was a fantastic mentor to me over many years. The head of School of Chemistry and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Research was also an enormous support and mentor to me. So I've had some fantastic supporters and mentors. I've been very fortunate with supporters, but also people I look up to, but also who I can talk to and learn from. And I think something that young women need to understand is that doesn't, you can't make that happen. You can make it happen over a long time, but you can't force a stellar group of people to be your mentors instantaneously. Those things take a long time. What I didn't understand was that it would take me this many years before I had that group of people as a go-to group of people. You know, you have them as you go, but you also build it as you go. So it's sort of, and as you go through different stages of your career, there are different sorts of people who you need to call on, and you need to be prepared to call on different people to support you and mentor you.
I just want you to summarize maybe probably 3 to 4, if you do have like practical leadership strategies that you say, these are the key things for you to succeed in a STEM related profession or male dominated work environment. What are those?
You do the best job you can.
Yeah.
Always do your best. Always do your best. Never provide second best. Work with enormous amounts of integrity. I think that's really important. If you've done your best, you've worked with integrity, you're proud of what you've done, then you can always move on, whatever happens. Yeah. So I think they're sort of really important. I think respecting others, and then others will respect you.
Yeah.
I think also encouraging others and being fair to others is really important. Encourage other women, encourage other men, work with them, be positive about their contributions. And I think that creates an environment that is successful.
Thank you also taking time to participate in this project. Thank you, Professor.
Well, thank you, Patience.
Thank you so much.